Hey everybody, Sarah here from Sarah Softies. I am going to show you very quickly how to make a flying geese block that is referred to as the no waste method or four at a time method. Depends on who you talk to. I tend to use this method when I write my patterns, and it has come to my attention that the pictures aren't always easy to see and judge. So I'm going to use some scraps from a pattern I am working on. This is going to be the inside of the flying goose block. Flying geese block? Flying goose's block. I don't know what you want to call it. So when it's done, it'll be the piece that's inside. Okay? So when you do your measurements, and if you decide you just want to make a bunch of flying geese on your own and you want to know how big to make them, to do four at a time, you need the inside block, you need one of these, because this will give you four internal sections. It will be 1 inch bigger than your unfinished square. Or your unfinished goose. So if you want a flying goose block, as I'm referring to it, a singular flying geese, where do I have it here? So my flying goose, one of them will be it'll be 4.5 by 5.5 inches unfinished. So that's what it is before you put it in the quilt. Once you put it in the quilt, it is now 4 by 8. So that's the difference. So we're going to cut one big piece that is 9.5. Then you're going to cut 4 little squares, and these are the squares that are going to go on the edges of the flying goose, a singular flying geese. I don't know, y'all. I'm going to actually ask. I'm going to ask a bunch of other designers what a singular flying geese block is, because now we're going to figure this out. We're going to do this. They will be a 1/2 inch more. So if my flying goose is 4.5 by 8.5, I'm going to cut this to 5. So the smaller one goes to the smaller block, the bigger number goes to the bigger block. So if it's a 4.5 by 8.5, add 1 inch to the bigger, that's 1, now it's 9.5 square. Add a 1/2 inch to the smallers, and that is now a 5-inch square. You'll notice I drew a little line down the center of each one of mine, down the wrong side. I am using a solid and a batik. Batiks have a right and wrong side, but for the love of me, I can never figure out which is which. So we're just gonna do it and hope for the best. You don't have to draw the line. I've also seen people iron them into a triangle and just use the dent. I don't mind drawing a line because it's on the wrong side, and I'm gonna end up cutting on this line anyway, or I'm sewing on this line anyway, so it's cutting on this line. I'm cutting on this line anyway, so it's gonna disappear. It's kind of up to you and what you decide you want to do and what works for the fabrics. But draw it on the wrong side. Never write on the right side of the fabric. There's a lot of controversy over that. Just whatever makes you happy. So I'm gonna move the camera around here and show you how to lay this out. All right, we're gonna try to do this with my camera. We'll figure this out together, y'all. All right, you're gonna take your big one, your big piece, the one that is 1 inch bigger than the unfinished large number. I'm gonna keep messing this up, of your flying gooses. Then you're gonna take your 4 squares. I know my shapes, y'all, I swear. You're gonna lay them right side down, right side's touching. Now, at this point, you have 2 options. You can actually iron this in half and in half, so you can see that this is actually down the center. Honestly, I'm kind of loosey-goosey. Hear that? Sorry, I'm so punny today. So I kind of just lay there, and I'm like, I know my triangles good Lord, my squares are about 50-50, so that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna just put it in there and hope for the best, because that is how I quilt. And you know what? Those quilts still get in magazines, and they still get published and sold, and they're not perfect. And I don't think anything ever should be perfect. turn that on. Make sure I've got this all set up properly because I was free motion quilting not too long ago yesterday. So I like to sew the first line with this part on top. That way when I go this way, it doesn't get caught. Does that make sense? Now, when you're looking at this, we've got our lines down the center. I have the wrong foot on my machine. One moment. Alrighty, back on track here. As I was saying, this is the correct foot you should be using for a project like this. This is a 1/4 inch quilting foot. I like this one because it's got a little metal piece that keeps my fabric from going that direction. And you can also use a 1/4 inch quilting foot that doesn't have the metal piece, and you just line the fabric up with the edge. Whatever works for you. But you need some sort of marking that's not on your machine, but rather on the foot itself. Okay? Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna put that 1/4 inch on your line, and you're gonna sew right alongside of it. Wow, my hands are not straight today. And then you're gonna flip it around, and you're gonna sew around the other side of it. Okay? So we're gonna do that real quick here. If I can get my machine threaded. She's been bothering me lately. There she goes. Of course she threads today while I'm on camera. Yesterday she's just like, nope, you're a liar. Liar. Okay. And like I said, I like to do it so that the flat part is on top, pointed down. I use a 2.4 stitch length. Sometimes if I'm doing a small flying goose, I will use a smaller stitch length. It kind of just depends on what I'm working on. So, real quick. So now you're looking at that and you're like, what on earth? What on earth is this mess? Ignore my strings. So if you're making a ton of these all at once, by all means, run them all through one side, flip them all around, run it through the other way, whatever works for you. I would normally rotary cut these lines, and when I've got a bunch of them, I've only got one I'm working on today, one flying goose set, flying geese set, flying gooses set. So I am just gonna cut down the line. Bam. See, how beautiful. Done. No, not really. We're about halfway done. At this point, you're gonna take this over to the ironing board, and you're going to iron these back. So it looks like a heart. Isn't that adorable? It's a cute little heart. But you're gonna iron those back, okay? And I'm gonna go do that real quick. Be right back. All right, we're back. Ironed. How beautiful. Don't look at the little fluffs. How beautiful. My little hearts. Next step is super easy again. You're gonna lay this on that other corner. Make sure that lines up nice, and you're gonna sew 1/4 inch again on either side of the line. And you're gonna do that to both of these. Okay? Run it through. I have found that the easiest way to start on these is to start with the needle down right here in this crevice. I don't know if you guys can see that. Where am I? There I am. Right here in this crevice. And I'm going to do needle down, and I'm going to push it right up into that edge. And then I will sew, so when it picks it up, the first stitch will be like just inside of it. And then I'll sew down. So now we have these funny shapes. Aren't those gorgeous? They're so weird. And then we're going to do what we did last time. Cut on your little middle line here. And we'll get our flying geese going. Boom, boom. So now we're going to take it over to the ironing board again, and we're just going to iron all these back to be able to get our flying geese, our singular flying goose, or our 4 flying geese, all made and gorgeous. Be right back. And And bam, our 4 flying geese. Now I can say it, for now. Once they're done, you're gonna notice that they aren't exactly the 4.5 by 8.5 that you were planning on, just because nobody's perfect and the dimensions don't allow for it. It should be slightly larger than 4.5 by 8.5. So I love the Block Lock rulers. They have saved me a lot of time and effort. Highly recommend them. If you don't have them, go buy them. If you don't want them, that's fine. There's ways to do this with square, using just like a regular square ruler. I honestly don't have the patience for such things anymore. When I teach my classes, I do show them how to trim up half square triangles with a plain square ruler, and then I show them how to use a block lock, because I have them in all sizes. At least the Flying Geese. Actually I'm pretty sure I have most of the half square triangles too. So we're gonna line it up. You can see it's already got the, I don't know where my purple thing went. Can you guys see it? I don't know where it went. Probably went off. All right, you can see that it has, I'll actually put it on there. You can see that it's got the 1/4 inch marking all the way around it, so that it makes it easier, and it has little indents. Bam, bam, bam. I should be an affiliate for them. I swear. I talk about them all the time. And then when you rotary cut, please, please, please don't cut across from you. Don't cut into you. Don't cut this way. Only cut if you're right-handed. Cut this line. If you're left-handed, only cut this line. Please, let's be safe out there. Get a klutz glove if you feel it's necessary. Always keep your thumb in, and make sure your fingers don't stick out any edges. Bam. 1, 2, 3. It's not perfect, but neither am I. 4. But it's pretty darn close. Isn't that beautiful? And you have a finished Flying Goose block geese, singular Flying Geese block goose. You'll notice with my fabric that I used, each one of these is going to be a little different. But I'll show you what all these are going to be used for maybe later on. I'm just going to trim these up and get moving on with my project. I hope that made it a little easier to do the Flying Geese block. It's not a difficult block, and it's used in so many quilt patterns. It's just one of those traditional pieces that everybody should know. It's one of the basics. That is the no waste method. You notice the only waste we have is this itty bitty little tiny trims. When you do it the traditional way, when you put the square on and fold back, you end up losing a huge chunk of fabric. And I've got little tips and tricks for using those up later on. I might go over those. I'll see what I can find for y'all, what I can dig up. But I've got several quilts behind me that all use Flying Geese. Like I said, you'll see them everywhere. And once you know how to do it easily, you can come up with your own patterns. You could do Flying Geese with this color in the middle, and then do some with it as the little squares on the outside, and mix and match. You can cut out just one color of 5-inch squares and then cut out a ton of different colors of the geese for inside. You know, you don't need to be fancy to be able to design a pattern, and you don't even need a lot of math. Honestly, there's cheat sheets everywhere. Maybe I'll put a cheat sheet on my website. That's a good idea, everybody. I'm going to put a cheat sheet for the measurements on my website, so you know how to make your Flying Geese size. Now I got a new project to do later today. I'm going to trim these up. I'm going to finish my stuff, and then I'm going to go make you guys that cheat sheet. All right? See you later. Bye.